Right, good evening everybody. So it's Jay again. So today I'm going to do a little video on overwatering. So what I did was I chose 4 plants that I would try to kill with water, because these 4 plants are the ones that are often complained about as getting yellow leaves the most often. And we're going to kind of talk about that and go over these plants and more or less give you some information on these. So the first one we're going to talk about today is the Moringa tree. Okay, so these, they commonly get yellow leaves towards the bottom or the base of their trunk, and they'll keep the nice green leaves at the top because these things are always growing and they're growing fast. And anytime you have a plant that grows fast, you're going to have leaf cycling fast. So you're going to have old yellow leaves that are starting to build, but that's just signaling that it's going to be growing at the top and be flushing new growth. That's usually the point where a person thinks that they've overwatered the plant or the tree, because they start to see those yellow leaves, so they cut back the water on them, and that's usually the most detrimental time to cut back the water on these plants, because they're going into new growth mode, and we cut back the water on those plants. Now, a lot of this also hinges on the fact that you have good drainage. So of course we have really heavy clay soils for the most part down here in the Phoenix area. So I amend all my soils so that they've got at least that first year of good root growth before they get into the native clay soil. So I don't know that you could get by with something like this with just pure clay native soil. You want to have good drainage, otherwise they're just sitting there in their own water. You want them to drain quickly, because when they drain quickly, they're pulling down oxygen to the roots as they're pulling the water down to the roots also. So it does hinge upon the fact that you have amended your soil and that it will drain freely. Now, I'm often told that one of the causes of the yellowing leaves is that you're leaching away the nutrients from the plant, but especially if you're growing in clay soil, well, those heavy clay soils are supposed to hold those nutrients in. And if you're planting with amended soil with the compost, of course your amendments are there already in the hole for it. So the first one we'll talk about is this guy, and you'll see that he's naked. All this trunk is naked because he's self-pruning. As he grows, he's going to start to throw all those leaves off of it as he's building the trunk. So you could build the trunk as high as you want it to wherever you want it to canopy, and then that's where you start to allow those branches to start to canopy. So this plant, I overwatered the snot out of it, okay? And you see, all it really did was flush on a ton of new growth, a ton of new flowers, and it's throwing pods like crazy. So you can see this guy's pretty happy, and he's pretty sturdy. I mean, I could already climb this tree, so he's already pretty well established. So this is the first one we're talking about today, is the Moringa, and let's go to the next one. All right, so this is another one of those trees that's really infamous for always going through cycling and always going through changes, always going through yellow leaves, leaf drop, because they're putting on their new growth again. So this is a starfruit tree, and you can see this guy is in pretty good condition. I've watered this thing twice a day, and it's just beautiful. Lush green, it's got all this new growth on it. It's got a pretty good sized fruit on it. Nice golden fruit there. So once we got him established here, we're gonna let this guy now start to fruit, but this is another one of those ones where you get the yellow leaves because they're putting on the new flush of growth, as you can see by all this new growth. So the starfruit tree is also just infamous for throwing yellow leaves all the time. All right, so that's starfruit. Alrighty guys, so this is another one. So this is an avocado, and I planted this avocado in the front yard because I didn't have any in the front. So I stuck this guy in the front, and this is a tree that I got from Lowe's, and this is a Mexiola avocado. And when I put this guy in a month ago, well, he was about the size of the stick, and you guys know that because you bought them at Lowe's before, so you know how big they are when you get them. So he was about the size of this stick, so by giving him all that extra water, all he really did, the negative effects was he grew 4 feet. So this is the fastest growing avocado that I've ever seen, or that I've ever had myself, by putting on literally 4 feet of growth in a month. I mean, that's pretty absurd for avocados. They're pretty slow. And you'll notice down here too, so you see some of these leaves, they're turning yellow, right? So a person would think, oh no, I'm starting to overwater this thing, right? So you see that here they are, here they are, here they are. But those are old leaves. I mean, look at, they're at branch intersections, right? So now the branch is there, so it doesn't need that leaf anymore. So the thing's gone. And now it's got its new branch. So yes, overwatering this avocado, all it really seemed to do was make it grow extremely fast. And I get these guys to grow pretty fast anyway. So this is avocado, and I guess while we're standing right next to it, we'll just do the papaya real quick. So this papaya did the same thing, and I can barely even reach the tops on these now. And in fact, they're just tons of fruit. I mean, you can see at the top there, all that fruit was from the last couple months just by adding on that excess water. So each one of these guys, this one's full, this one back here is full. And just tons of new growth. Like, look at all that beautiful new growth and flowers and fruit. And yeah, you got some of these older leaves that are yellow, but we're not worried about those. That's not an overwatering issue. It's just done with those. They're spent. So yeah, papaya, overwatering, all that really did was make him grow an extra couple feet and throw on some fruit. So there is this guy. We got one more. We'll go do the banana. Okay, so the final one here is a banana, and this is an ice cream banana that I put in a month ago. And when I planted this guy, he was this tall, and you can tell by his old leaves and his old growth. So as soon as I put this thing in the ground, this is one I really wanted to experiment with overwatering and just try to drown this banana. And all that really did was make this thing enormous. Like, look at the size of this banana plant in a month. Like, are you serious? This thing's huge. It hasn't even unrolled its old leaf before it puts on a new leaf. I mean, this thing's just charging with growth. So yeah, all that did was make that banana tree like 12 feet, and he's thrown out a little pup already. So this will be my real good experiment, because I'll be able to start this one from the very beginning and see how fast I can get this one in relation to this one. Because this will be the true test on how fast I can get these guys to grow. But this thing is just absurd. It's just silly how big this thing has gotten. And beautiful and green. And what will happen next is this leaf will be the next one to go. This one will turn yellow next because he's done with it. So then you cut that one off, and then it'll be the next one that'll turn, and then the next one that'll turn. So yeah, all that did was just make it grow just like everything else around here. So the extra water seemed to be no detriment to these at all, and you just have to be aware of what those yellow leaves are telling you. They're not always telling you overwatering. They might be telling you that it's getting new growth. So, all right guys, thank you for watching.